Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has said that he doesn't make decisions based on emotion. He stated that since 6 years ago, he has not acted emotionally on any issue. He mentioned that emotions without law and principle are dangerous, and that Ethiopia did not wish to go to war with Eritrea. But if it did, the result would have been known. He said Ethiopia has built a strong and reliable force. However, it is remembered that the Prime Minister has been accused of engaging in conflict with the Eritrean government over false matters. After Ethiopia finished building the road to the Assab area, there were claims that Eritrea had issues with port access. When Ethiopia tried to send generators and cranes to Eritrea as a friendly gesture, the Eritrean government rejected the offer. At that point, it became clear that the idea of using the Assab Port was no longer realistic. There was no real interest in bringing back port access to Eritrea. Ethiopia's plan was only to provide electric power to Eritrea, similar to what it already does for Sudan and Djibouti. Even though Ethiopia had offered to provide electricity, Eritrea did not respond positively. The Prime Minister explained that when Ethiopia tried to assist Eritrea with generators, the proposal was rejected. Abiy said he prefers research and strategy over emotional reaction. He proposed that Ethiopia should consider geographical distances in its regional relationships. For instance, Addis Ababa is about 184 kilometers from Kenya's border, 1,696 kilometers from Port Sudan, 1,520 kilometers from Somalia's coast, 943 kilometers from Berbera Port, and 910 kilometers from Djibouti. However, Eritrea's distance from Addis Ababa is only 624 kilometers, much closer. But due to Djibouti's control and changing tariffs managed by a Dubai company, Ethiopia cannot freely use other ports for import and export. At the same time, Arab countries that are allies of Cairo, Egypt, are said not to want Ethiopia to become stable and prosperous. Even though EPRDF leaders once said a country could be great, they compared it to Austria, Switzerland, and Luxembourg. Nations that are rich and stable through cooperation with neighbors, not through domination. The Afar region borders the Red Sea. Even our camels recognize the Ethiopian flag there, said Sultan Ali Ra. When speaking about the Red Sea issue, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also stated that there is a question regarding Eritrea's independence, particularly about how the port of Assab was handed over to Eritrea. He said there was no sufficient documentation or public referendum conducted regarding that decision. When peace was first made between Ethiopia and Eritrea, Abiy visited Asmara, and later the Eritrean president visited Ethiopia. The first major rally was held in Mile for public reconciliation. He encouraged the public to re-watch that first broadcast on YouTube, noting that everything was explained openly. When Abiy later returned from Asmara, he said that after meeting the Eritrean president and seeing the sea, he expressed interest in returning to discuss port matters again. In his book Metamer, Synergy, Abiy writes clearly about the geopolitical issue and says he even sent a copy as a gift to Eritrean authorities. It's no secret. They know, he said. However, he added that the Eritrean government delayed the matter, and in the end, Ethiopia was pressured into a forced situation. Not only Abiy Ahmed, but also many scholars have raised strong questions about the Assab issue. Dr. Yakob Hailemariam, author of the book Assimilat, The Thinkers, is one of the leading voices questioning the legal ownership of Assab. He analyzed the Ethiopia-Eritrea Border Commission's decision in the Algiers Agreement, highlighting serious loopholes and irregularities. Dr. Yakob explained that among Ethiopia's negotiators during the border talks, 11 were foreign citizens who had been paid large sums. Ethiopia spent $9 million on the process, and some were influenced to avoid defending Ethiopia's sovereignty. He mentioned that the decision to cede Badme, Erob, Sori, and parts of Afar to Eritrea was completed in 285 days. Algeria, where the talks were hosted, historically supported Eritrea's separation. The chairperson of the talks, Egypt's Abdulaziz Bouteflika, also favored Eritrea. Meanwhile, the Organization of African Unity, OAU, failed in its attempt to move the headquarters from Ethiopia. The judges even reused previous colonial maps in their ruling. According to Dr. Yakob, Ethiopia's claims were ignored. especially regarding villages and religious sites that were divided. He described this as a betrayal of Ethiopia's national ownership. Churches and schools were split in two. He wrote that even one mistake in the Algiers Agreement was a great national loss. In his book, Dr. Yakob says a country that loses access to the sea faces at least 24 years of economic stagnation, and for landlocked countries, it may take up to 36 years to recover. Losing port access reduces a country's trade capacity from 43% down to 3%. The transition from having a port to being landlocked has not only limited Ethiopia's access to trade routes, but has also created internal instability. Many scholars say Ethiopia's loss of access to the sea was not accidental. It was the result of deliberate political actions. Dr. Yakob's writings describe in detail how Ethiopia's political errors eventually led it to this point. After Eritrea gained independence through armed struggle in 1991, Ethiopia's loss of access to the Red Sea became a deeply painful and nationally significant issue. It's a matter that still haunts the country.